All right, we are back. We're going to begin the second part 2 of our muffin tray process. So I have textured my whole slab. It's still pretty soft. You're going to want it to be pretty soft. And I'm looking for a spot on here that's going to be cool for my tray, the top of my tray. I'm just going to lay it right there on the side. I think is fine. And I'm going to go ahead and begin cutting. Make sure your knife is clean. And remember that I have released my clay from the board because when you put texture into your slabs, it sticks to your board. Notice that I'm kind of holding this template down as I go. I'm kind of following it along with my hand so that the template doesn't move and I get a good cut here. Alright, that's that side. Maybe on this side. If I had a bigger table, I could rotate my board. I think I am going to rotate my board. It makes it easier. If you're right-handed, you want to always be cutting on the right. If you're left-handed, you always want to be cutting on the left. So save yourself the trouble and just flip your board. Alright, so we're almost, there we go. Do an outcut. You're going to want to save. So these pieces always go in a bag. Put in my bag here. Always put them in plastic. Give them a little spray and wrap them up. We're going to need all of these scraps. Okay. I'm also going to move this guy out of the way. We're going to need this as well, so don't get rid of that. Set it off to the side. Alrighty. And now we can just deal with our main form for now. This is pretty wet right now, so I'm going to wet my finger. And I don't want to get rid of my texture, that's why I wet my finger, so that my finger doesn't get stuck and drag on the edge, but always smooth your edges. As soon as you cut your form out, you should smooth your edges no matter what you're making, whether it's a muffin tray or plate, spoon rest. Always make sure that your edges are smoothed out. Careful not to mess with your texture. I've never used that texture and I'm really liking it right now. Stoked on this guy. Alright, there we go. So this is the top, but we're going to have to deal with the bottom because we're going to start making our holes. If you make your holes first and then try and flip it, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be sagging all over the place. So get yourself another board, put it on top, and do the old flip. Make sure it's not stuck, so like my hand right now is underneath, making sure that that clay is not stuck to my main board, which it was not, so we're good to go. And I'm going to smooth this edge with a wet finger as well. And then we're going to start with our cups, or at least the holes for the cups. I'm not making the cups quite yet. Alrighty. Move some of these things out of my way. Some space. You do want to have another board. It doesn't have to be this big, but you're going to want to save the holes that we're about to cut. So here we go. This is how I got all that glaze on my clay slab to begin with. Somebody didn't wipe it off and there was glaze all over it. So I'm going to make sure and clean it first. Okay, let's get our 3-inch cookie cutter and we're going to begin cutting our holes. Start in the middle These two waves right here kind of give you the center. So you're going to want to start right there. And we are coming in from the edge about 3/4 of an inch, so about there. And I'm just going to like make a little mark. It's almost too much, I think. So I'm gonna smooth it out. As long as you're gentle and you don't press too hard, you can absolutely do some smoothing. So I think it's going to be more like, instead of 3/4, maybe a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to make a little mark. And I'm going to do my other one, make a little mark. And you know, remember that they don't have to be perfect. This is handmade. So it should look handmade. It shouldn't look like you bought it at a store. I'm going to get my grog sponge wet. Remember, you're using the Mud Tools grog sponge. Let's smooth that out. And I'm going to move it back just a little bit. Okay. I think that's good right there. You could draw them in if you wanted to. I'm just going to go for it, I think. Okay, so push, give it a little twist, and very gently pull it up. You don't want to mess your circles up because we're going to use these circles. These circles are going to be the bottom of our muffin cups. So you want to pull them out of here really gently. See that? Bottom of your muffin cup. There's one. There's two. Very carefully release. And we're going to do this 6 times. When you push them out of this circle cookie cutter, just be really careful. Oops. All right. There's 2. There's 3. And again, you want to be really careful because this clay is pretty soft. And every now and then I'm just wiping this away or wiping it off. Trying to kind of look at the spacing between and the space to the edge. Looks pretty good. Don't freak out if it's a little offset, it's fine. It's 100% fine. When it's handmade, it's going to look handmade, and that's the beauty of it, right? Not to say that it should be sloppy or messy, but definitely look handmade. These are so pretty. I love this. This is super cool. This project is very exciting. I hope you guys are excited about it too. I'm just looking at this little middle center part here and trying to make the spacing pretty close if I can. All right. And the rest of that clay is waiting for me because I am going to use it for the walls This one's a little closer to the edge than I had hoped, but that's okay. Going for it. Just go for it. It's all good. Careful on this release. I don't want my edges to be super skinny. That one's pushing it a little right there for sure. For sure. It wants to warp the form if you get too close to your edge. All right. Okay, I'm not going to start smoothing any of this because I'm going to come back and clean it all up once my cups are in. So I'm just going to leave this as is. This is going to move on over, and I'm going to start making my muffin cups. So now we're going to switch to this and come back for that.